Real quick, guys, before the video starts, in case you're wondering about the 6 mons I have below my screen, those are the 6 big threats we'll be touching on in this video. I'll catch you in the intro. Hey, what is going on, guys? It is your mediocre, self-proclaimed Pokemon master here, Tiggly Man. And today, the video is going to be a bit different. We're going to be talking about the current state of the meta and get into some team building afterwards. Now, I've been playing doubles for about 2 months now, okay? And I've probably got well over 100 matches in. And I finally kind of divvied down after watching the Oceanic Internationals. I was kind of watching how people went about building their teams and how everything pulled together. I took those concepts, added it to my team building tactics. I ended up putting together a team that allowed me to get to Master Ball tier in doubles. Now, I know it's not like a huge thing because thousands of people do that every week. But it was a big milestone for me because I've been wanting to hit Master Ball tier in both singles and doubles since the game came out, and I've been having a hard time getting a grip on doubles. So, first and foremost, let's get into the most used mon at the moment in VGC, doubles, whatever. It's Togekiss. Okay, now I had a lot of success using Togekiss. She's probably easily one of my MVP mons. And what makes her so great, she fulfills a lot of roles efficiently. A lot. I have mine set up. I think this one's a bit uncommon, but it's a weakness policy. Weakness policy is not uncommon, but the way I have it set up, okay? So I have my Togekiss here. I did max HP, max speed, timid. For maximum bulk, ran it all into HP. Now, I know there's some defensive spreads that people run for the follow me set, but this is not a follow me set. Let's get in the move poll. It's Nasty Plot, 3 attacks. So I've been noticing a lot of the times, nearly every match that I play, Togekiss does have follow me. I have yet to actually verse. Within my 100 matches, I have yet to verse a Togekiss that does not use Follow Me. So when people see her, they kind of anticipate that. I kind of wanted to change the tactic a little bit, do 3 attacks with Nasty Plot. So if they choose to ignore Togekiss and or anticipate the Follow Me, I can Nasty Plot on them trying to kind of work around the Follow Me Togekiss shenanigans. And then I can set up Dynamax, and then they'll for sure kick my weakness policy off because the Nasty Plot kicks off, a lot of pressure on the battlefield. You don't want to keep them on at double special attack around very long. So most matches I do use her, I am able to kick off the weakness policy and get the Nasty Plot up. This mon does suffer, though, because it does not hit very hard. It really does not. I mean, it's special attack. I have it to level 100, but I mean, it's probably rocking like 140, which isn't awful. I think it hits just as hard as a maximum invested Whimsicott. So, as long as you're super effective, you'll do some damage. But when you reverse those Trick Room teams and you don't Nasty Plot up and they invest it into their bulk, it'll really shine. But again, Togekiss, huge threat. Also, its typing is amazing with Conkeldurr kind of creeping around a lot. It has a quad resist to fighting. You have a dragon immunity and a ground immunity. So overall, she's a great pivot, great follow me user, great Nasty Plotter, weakness policy, and again, you can run with the Barberi Berry to further increase the effectiveness of Follow Me. So when you build a team for this upcoming online competition, make sure you have a way of taking care of Togekiss. Okay? Now, the next mon that kind of comes to mind for me that everyone uses is Whimsicott. Okay? Whimsicott is probably one of the best support mons at the moment. Togekiss does have her beat a little bit, but with the Prankster Tailwind, that's pretty self-explanatory. Prankster Tailwind. It gives your team priority, run a hyper offense team, get that Tailwind off, and sweep. Now, when I first started playing doubles, as soon as I encountered this, and I had the Tailwind pop off, then Dracovish with Spam Vicious Rend, it happened to me twice. I kind of told myself, I'm never going to let this happen again, So I decided to run Fake Out support. Fake Out support is kind of like dodged around because people can Dynamax mons. They shouldn't be faked out. Fake Out is Whimsicott's main weakness. I played, again, a little over 100 matches. Out of those 100 matches, probably a third of them brought Whimsicott, and I had one match where the person protected the first turn to negate a Fake Out. But every match, I lead Fake Out and knock out that Whimsicott immediately. And typically, if they don't protect, the match usually goes very well once their Whimsicott's eliminated, because then it's just a 3v4 at that point. Because I like to run bulky offense, so a lot of times they're not going to OHKO any of my guys. But my opponent did run Protect, and it did allow her to start spamming fake tears, get some taunts off, whatever it may be. So Whimsicott does pull its roll off extraordinarily efficiently. Also, forgot to mention, Fake Out also breaks the Focus Sash, which everyone runs Whimsicott Focus Sashed. But again, when you create a team, get ready to roll up to destroy this thing. Because if they Tailwind and you don't have Tailwind or Trick Room leading, they will get speed priority, and they already have an upper hand, and you do not want them to have an upper hand to turn 1 against you. Okay? On to the next boy. Where do I even start? Let's go to another. We'll go to a attacker. This is in a different slot. Let me go to my special attacking one. Right here. Duraludon. He is probably my favorite special wall breaker. I run mine assault vested. It's not like a fancy set or anything, you know. It's just max special attack, max speed, modest. And he hits like a truck. He hits so hard. You don't really need any items boosting him. He can usually pick up a lot of 2-hit KOs, handful of OKOs. But I like him a lot because when people try to set Trick Room with the Indeedee Hatterene setup, or just Indeedee period, trying to use Follow Me, you can pick off the other target and hit it really hard with the Dynamax move because that Stalwart completely ignores Follow Me. And the ability is great. When Duraludon dropped, I did not think he was going to be actually as big of a threat as he was, and I love using him. I didn't use him up until actually recently, like really seriously, and he's probably one of the MVP mons on my team. And you can, when you do Duraludon, make sure you set up your Dynamax moves to benefit your overall team composition because his primary usage is going to be Dynamaxing and getting the buffs from his attacks. This is primarily my Trick Room Destroyer and my Whimsicott Destroyer because I like to just open up, fake out, and then max Steel Spike the Whimsicott. The only thing that holds him back is that lackluster special defense stat. At level 100, it's only 136. It is so low. The Assault Vest patches it up a little bit, but even like Draco Meteors from other Duraludon, Hydreigons, and Dragapults will do well over half health to Dynamax Duraludon. I know for a fact Choice Specs Dragapult, Draco Meteor takes him down over 2/3 of the way, Dynamaxed. So if you do not Dynamax a Draco Meteor from a Choice Specs Dragapult, will knock you out. But again, this is another crazy mon to look out for. Let's go on to the next big threat that I used a lot. I stopped using him recently, and I might add him to my team, I don't know, but Duraludon really filled my Dragapult void. But Dragapult, this mon does not deserve too much of an explanation. He's the second most used mon, right behind Togekiss, and there's good reason for that. His blistering speed tier, I mean, mine's weird at level 66, but I think his base speed is 147. And if you guys played Pokemon Showdown and used Zero Aura at all, I think his base speed is 143. Don't quote me on that, but I know he's a little bit higher than him. Zero Aura outspeeds so many mons, and if you played the game and someone was scarfed and you outsped them, I don't know about you, but it blew my mind that he was outspeeding Choice Scarfers in like random battles and stuff like that. And Dragapult's even faster. So he is a great mon that can create speed control, and the beauty is you can put a choice. You don't have to run a Choice Scarf. You run Choice Band or you run Choice Specs, and you wail on somebody, and you'll usually go first as long as Tailwind or Trick Room isn't up because he outspeeds a lot of Choice Scarfers. I usually used him to destroy Dracozolt and Dracovish because he outsped them even if they were scarfed. But on this set here, I have a Choice Specs with Draco Meteor, Shadow Ball, Fire Blast, and Thunderbolt. With him, again, he fulfills a lot of roles efficiently. Some people run a bulky set and will run Weakness Policy, then set up a sweep. And man, a dirty little trick, people will run Protect on him, you know, kind of bait that Dragon hit. And then the Protect is a quad resist with the Protect from the Dynamax hit. And he'll take maybe a third of his health, and his Weakness Policy kicks up. And more than likely, whoever you attacked him with, you'll outspeed them, and you can knock them out afterwards. And he can also run, not sure how prevalent this is in doubles, the Will-O-Wisp Hex set with Substitute with moderate bulk. He can run that too to cripple physical attackers and do damage and be really annoying. But for the most part, hyper offensive physical attacker, Weakness Policy, and then Choice Specs special attacker have been kind of like the things that have been working for me and the things that destroyed me. I've been destroyed by a lot of physical attacking Dragapults because I really wasn't prepared for them. When I first found out Dragapult learns a flying type move when someone max airstreamed me, I was shitting my pants a little bit. I didn't realize he got a flying type move actually. But on this one, I ran Draco Meteor, Shadow Ball, both stab coverage, Fire Blast, and Thunderbolt. Fire Blast was to destroy Corviknight, Thunderbolt's to destroy Gyarados. Shadow Ball is the most spammable move in the game. It hits everything, relatively everything neutral, and it hits pretty hard. And then Draco Meteor to wail on Dragon types or just to get a big stab neutral hit off because after stab that moves like 190 base power. It's crazy. And it hits like a truck. And OHKO's non-assault vest to Duraludon if you have Choice Specs on. So again, you're building a team for this competition. Make sure you have a way to play around Dragapult. Now, On to the next guy. Now, a lot of people do not talk about him, okay? I'm going to take the time to talk about him. Rotom. Rotom Heat and Rotom Wash are both fantastic mons, singles and doubles. We're not talking about singles, we're talking about doubles. I run my defensive Rotom, so if anyone wants to roll up with Hyper Offense, per se, Excadrill, Tyranitar, Durant, like anything that's going to hit like a truck, I like to roll up with defensive Rotom with Will-O-Wisp. This mon here can eat hits like no other. He's kind of like my Durant Destroyer. I really struggled with Durant for the longest time just because his speed tier is amazing in this generation, and with his ability Hustle and his base like 105 attack, he is crazy. He's kind of like a PG-13 Glorian Darmanitan that outspeeds more things and can Dynamax and punish you. And he OHKOs a lot of stuff. Well, luckily, Durant's strongest stab hit that's neutral is the Max Flutterby. I went up against someone yesterday. I survived with 11 HP. 11 HP. A lot of people aren't running like full HP and defense Rotom, so he probably wasn't expecting that. I was able to pop my Will-O-Wisp off and make that Durant completely useless, ignore him, and just attack the other slot over and over again. Okay? And Rotom like never dies. You run him with a Wiki Berry to really, maximize that bulk. He'll be annoying forever. I run mine with 3 attacks and Will-O-Wisp. I'm more of an offensive player. I like to have more capabilities of knocking out. People can run him with Ally Switch, and that's, again, what makes Rotom great, because he can fulfill many roles efficiently. You can run an Ally Switch Rotom, you can run with Thunder Wave, Will-O-Wisp, you can run Scarfed, Specs. Like, he's really unpredictable when you see him. And with defensive not being used as frequently, I think defensive's not being used as frequently, don't quote me on that, but I haven't seen too many of them. But this set works phenomenal for stuffing Excadrill, Tyranitar, and Durant. And especially since Excadrill's usually ran with Sand Rush. If he's ran with Sand Rush, this mon walks on him, because he can't hit him with his Max Quake or anything like that. And you can get the Will-O-Wisp off really easily, because you resist his Iron Stab, you're immune to his ground hits. Okay. Now, speak of the devil, let's go on over to a mon that opened my eyes. Let's go to my Sand Rush one. That opened my eyes in doubles. That, hey, there's actually a mon that can Dynamax and KO with neutral hits and get really fast out of nowhere. My first little bout of winning matches was the Excadrill Tyranitar core. And if any of you play doubles, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You can lead with them. You can keep Tyranitar in the back, but you lead Excadrill every time and you Dynamax him. And if you outspeed both the opposing mons, that's great. You don't bring out T-Tar. If you don't outspeed the opposing mons, well, then you throw out T-Tar, and then that turn your speed doubles. So, Excadrill, the ground steel typing is amazing, because your partner will benefit from it immensely. You have Max Quake, increases your SPDF and your partner's SPDF, and you have Max Steel Spike, which increases your defense and your partner's defense. So you become really, really bulky, and the beauty is, his attack stat is high. This is Jolly, and he's 181. That is a very high attack stat. And when he's Dynamaxed with that Life Orb boost, he will knock out nearly everything he's neutral against. If they're not invested. If it's an offensive mon and it's neutral, they have not Dynamaxed themselves, it'll knock them out. Super effective hits will typically knock out too. I'm running mine with 4 attacks. I like to make my mons a little more standalone, hence is why I'm running Rock Slide. I'm not sure if Rock Slide's a super common thing, but I've seen it before. But if I opt not to bring Tyranitar, I like to have the option to, double my speed in that one turn. It has won me matches. But Earthquake, Rock Slide, Iron Head, and Brick Break to destroy screens if Grimmsnarl's out in the field, because when screens go up, and if they're staying up, you're in for a tough match, because you're going to be doing half damage the whole time. So when you make a team, make sure you have something to cripple that Excadrill, whether it be through Will-O-Wisp being immune to his ground and steel stab, or pivoting accordingly to his Max Quakes to a flying type, and or a Rotom if he's not Mold Breaker. And let's go on right into his buddy, Tyranitar. Probably one of the most used heavy hitting physical attackers in the game. I have mine set up a bit unorthodox with Max Attack, Max Speed, Jolly, because everyone's been running that defensive weakness policy variant. I have Lumberry too, because status conditions are hell, kind of, if you verse Trick Room with Gothitelle, the Hypnosis and stuff like that constantly coming at you. So we have a Lumberry to, so while we're setting up, we can eat that, negate it, and knock him out the next turn. With this guy, I got Crunch, High Horsepower, Stone Edge, and Dragon Dance. So people usually see T-Tar and he's a weakness policy. They expect the Dynamax. They start to play a little goofy at times. Thinking you're going to Dynamax. They don't want to hit you with the super effective hits. They'll hit you with neutral hits. They'll try to burn you, whatever. Again, that Lumberry comes in handy if they're going to try to burn you, because then you can Dragon Dance and depending on what they're using, if they're leading with bulkier mons to cripple your T-Tar, you will outspeed both of them and you will punish them. Because T-Tar at +1 hits really, really hard. Unfortunately, this mon is inherently weak to Mach Punch from Conkeldurr, but that doesn't really matter because that's one mon with one move and you play around that accordingly. And the beautiful thing is Dragon Dance gives you a max guard, so you can punish Conkeldurr for entering the battlefield and targeting into your T-Tar, because you know when he enters, he's targeting into you. But besides him being an amazing offensive mon, Tyranitar fulfills a handful of roles very efficiently. He can be a nuisance, run him max bulk, Thunder Wave. I've seen people run him as a special attacker to throw people off. Weakness policy, you can run him defensive, and he's a fantastic terrain setter. Really, enough said. Now let me see here. I did want to talk about his counter Conkeldurr, because after watching, let me see, I think I have one sitting around here somewhere. There he is, okay. So Conkeldurr. Unfortunately, I do not have the Egg Move Mach Punch one, but Conkeldurr is probably the best fighting type in the game right now. His bulk is fantastic. I believe he has like 95 base HP, something like that. 140 base attack, which is insane. That's with Galarian Darmanitan, to put in perspective for you how hard that hits. But Galarian Darmanitan's Guerrilla Tactics, which takes him to, ungodly levels. But Conkeldurr is a bit cooler than Darmanitan because he can OHKO Darmanitan with a priority move, which is insane. So 140 base attack, 95 base defense, I believe, and 65 SPDF. The SPDF's a bit lackluster, but nothing an Assault Vest can't fix. And Conkeldurr, you can run him Rock Slide, Drain Punch so he never dies, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch. You can run Guts, put a Flame Orb on him, Assault Vest. But unfortunately, Conkeldurr usually fulfills one role, and that's being a bulky attacker. That's really about it. But he executes it better than, I think, most physical attackers in the game. He's definitely a top 30 mon, and definitely a top 5 for being a bulky physical attacker in this game. And if you've been watching regionals and stuff like that, he's been winning regionals. So if you have a team set up, be ready to see him and make sure you have mons to counter that Mach Punch. And if you brought Togekiss, you better keep that thing healthy, because if he's alive and your Togekiss is your counter for him and she faints, he's going to knock a lot of mons out. He does not die. You'll be very surprised when people run him with an Assault Vest how many hits he can withstand. On to the next one. Let's see. Gyarados. Gyarados is another big threat. And he's also another top usage mon. I believe he's in the top 20 for most used mons. And he's a bit annoying too, because upon team preview, you can usually look at someone's team, and see if they have Intimidate support. Like, oh, okay, Gyarados is their Intimidate support. But you never know, because you can run Arcanine and Gyarados. And, well, the Gyarados could have Intimidate, or you could have Moxie, just like this one here. So you have to make sure you lead appropriately for either one. But we'll talk about Intimidate Gyarados, because I think in the current state of the meta, he's a bit better, because Intimidate's just an amazing ability. That's my personal opinion. Moxie Gyarados, by definition, is probably better, but that requires a good player. You can't just mindlessly play him. You have to be a good player, because a good player versus a good player, if they're aware you have Moxie Gyarados, they can play around that. Try to. But Intimidate Gyarados kind of indefinitely gets the attack drop and makes your side weaker. Okay? The opponent's side weaker, sorry. So, Gyarados has an amazing attack stat. This is max attack, just a Jolly Nature at 173. That is very high, and along with the water flying typing, there's not many things that resist just his overall stab. Water flying is usually neutral and or super effective against most mons. With the Intimidate functioning too, he has naturally lower defense, but he has high SPDF. So if that Intimidate pops off, it really opens up what this mon can do. And if you wanted to run max HP, I believe if you run max HP, that'll allow you to tank a max Rockfall from Excedrin after the Intimidate drop. Because I think with my Life Orb, I've knocked Gyarados out with a max Rockfall. Don't quote me on that. That were offensive. But yeah, you have to be aware of that. And Gyarados can also switch into Excedrin, and he can also hit like a truck. On mine, I have Earthquake, Bounce, Waterfall, and Dragon Dance. So you can set up with a DD. If you run Intimidate, I like running DD, instead of being just an Intimidate nuisance, I want to Dragon Dance and start pressuring my opponent, thinking I'm always going to Intimidate then Dynamax. No, I'm Dynamaxing my buddy. I'm going to Dragon Dance up with him. So he's my setup sweeper. Weaken the opposing side, make it easier for me to set up. So Earthquake to make myself bulkier, Bounce to increase speed, and Waterfall to set our terrain. And then again, if you also want to, you can run him with bulk and just throw him out on Intimidate as needed. And with the Water Stab and the Flying Stab, he can be a Dynamaxing Mon that can benefit your team. So let's go on to another Mon. Oh, here we go. Rhyperior. Rhyperior is probably the best Trick Room attacker in the game. Everyone probably knows his ability. Solid Rock. It reduces the power of super effective attacks taken. Reduces them by 1/4, which is amazing. And next month in March, Clefairy is going to drop with Friend Guard, which reduces damage you and your partner take, I think, by 25%. So you have to think any super effective hit coming his way is reduced by 50% with Solid Rock and Friend Guard. That is nuts. You run him with a weakness policy, you're not going to break through him really with neutral hits. And if you try to set up in front of Rhyperior, his attack is so high, if you haven't burned him yet, he will kill you, more than likely. And it's going to be a hell of a time once that duo starts coming out. Now, with mine, I have mine Adamant Max Special Defense, Max HP, because he already has naturally high defense, naturally high attack, but he has naturally low special defense. So I do Max Special Defense investment, and this guy can eat some hits. Choice Specs Hydro Pump from Rotom, without the rain being up, I believe does a little over 2/3. Kicks my weakness policy off and allows me to pick up the OHKO. Not sure if this is the EV spread that's ran in doubles, but hell, this set's fantastic. Just if he gets burned, he's completely useless because there's no attack investment, so his attack gets very low. But if you can avoid getting burned, this weakness policy set is amazing. I just have 4 attacks, really simple. When I opt to use him in doubles, I will put Protect on him. He needs Protect because he's a high pressure mon. He's a high priority kill. You have to be able to pivot with Protect and Max Guard. So for him, I just have Rock Blast, Hammer Arm, Outrage, and Earthquake. And his Dynamaxing moves are pretty self-explanatory. Rock Blast will set up your Sandstorm, further increasing your special defense, putting your defense and Spadef at par, making you nearly impossible to kill if the Sandstorm is up. Hammer Arm to boost your attack if they're opting to not set off your weakness policy. Outrage to knock out dragon types and make your opposing side weaker, and then Earthquake to further increase your special defense if the terrain is not going to be on your side. But unfortunately, Rhyperior is kind of he performs one role really well, kind of like Conkeldurr being a bulky attacker again. Rhyperior is another amazing Trick Room attacker. Now, who else is used quite a bit that I saw that I struggled with? Let me scrim through here. I think we covered most of them. Oh, and this Chandelure, I have to go over this. He's not a big used mon, but this definitely deserves a little bit of a spotlight. Choice Scarf Chandelure is devastating. Completely devastating. It was 145 base special attack. As you can see at level 50, special attacks 197. He can get Overheat, which is 130, 190 power after stab. It's crazy, and he hits like a truck. You can run him Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, or I've seen people body people. This set is amazing. If someone wants to roll up with a Trick Room team, you don't want that Trick Room going off, use Imprison them. Get your Imprison off, and then they can't use Heat Wave, Shadow Ball, or Trick Room until you faint. You just run him with a Focus Sash. And most Trick Room users, Shadow Ball is super effective against. So he can really keep the pressure up. And if you're running a Trick Room team, well, you're probably not really going to outspeed Chandelure. So this set's incredible. He's an amazing attacker that gives you 2 sets that he's really good at. He's a Trick Room stuffer, and he's a fantastic special attacker. He's just not very bulky, so he will get OHKO'd easily, but he OHKOs things easily. So keep that in mind. Chandelure, a lot of fun. A team preview, hard to see what he's going to do. He can even set Trick Room too. Keep that in mind. Next. I think we did cover most of them. Let's go over Hatterene too. We'll touch on her. Now, I'm not just going to be talking Hatterene here. I'm going to be talking about the Hatterene and DD duo. Hatterene and Indeedee together are absolutely devastating. You can take the Indeedee when it enters the field, it gets Psychic Surge, boosting that Hatterene, and then it also cuts out priority. So if you want to use Fake Out, like, oh, the Trick Room is going to go up, I can Fake her out. Well, you can't anymore because Psychic Surge kills the Fake Out. So Follow Me can be indefinitely spammed, and if Follow Me goes off, you run her with a Focus Sash, you cannot knock her out. The only things that can knock her out are Stalwart, Duraludon, and you have a partner that does like Rock Slide or something like that to hit both mons. That'll be the only way you knock her out. She'll usually be around with a Focus Sash, and the Indeedee is going to pull all single attacks in, except for, I believe, Propeller Tail, Barraskewda, Snipe Shot, Inteleon, and then Stalwart Duraludon. But Stalwart Duraludon is the only one who gets that super effective stab hit to really pressure her and knock her out with ease. Now Hatterene, because she has a Trick Room Mon, and carries natural bulk. She has a very low HP stat, but when you invest into it, it gets up to a respectable. Mine's 164. I think it's like 158 at level 50. But paired with the 128 defense, and 128 special defense, and 119 defense, she can eat hits. And man, does she deliver a punishing hit. Her special attack, I believe it's like base 136, which is, I think, don't quote me on that, but it's very close to that. I believe her base special attack is like 2 points higher than Excedrill's base attack. To put in perspective for you how hard she hits, because Excedrill hits really hard, she's going to hit a touch harder. And she's a special attacker too, and this is a very defensive-oriented meta, not special defensive. So if you're if Assault Vested Conkeldurr is your Assault Vested guy, he will get punished by Hatterene. And with her moves too, you stack her with Indeedee, that Psychic Surges up. Your Psychic is plus 30% power. So that Psychic is actually 120 base power. Well, 90 after stab plus 30%. So you have like about 180 power Psychic move. After stab, of course, that you're going to be hitting people with, and it will drop things. If it's super effective against you, you're dropping, whether you're Dynamaxed or not, unless you're Assault Vested, of course. But again, Trick Rumor, bulky special attacker, 2 fantastic rolls. She does them well. Let's talk about this too, because I've seen people using this. Vanillix. This is a niche guy, but he can set an Aurora Veil, okay? He can do 2 things well. He can Blizzard spam, which in this meta, there's not a ton of ice resists that are used, and being able to get stab on Blizzard and be able to spam it with a Choice Scarf, it makes it easy to get freezes and KOs. That's a really heavy hitting 110 base power, and then after stab, like 165, you put the 0.75 multiplier in because it's multiple opponents. We're talking like a 120 base power move that hits both mons. That's insane. That's a really heavy hit, and I've been bodied by this on 2 different occasions because he can either run Choice Scarf Blizzard and put a lot of pressure down, or he can run Focus Sash Aurora Veil. I tried breeding him. I thought he got Aurora Veil. I didn't realize it was actually an egg move, which is a bit unfortunate. But you know, we work with what we got. The Aurora Veil set's amazing because it does something Grimmsnarl can't, and that's cut the damage of physical and special attacks in half on turn 1. Just remember, he is weak to Fake Out, and you can change the terrain if you outspeed him to negate the setup of Aurora Veil, because it has to be hailing for Aurora Veil to get set. But again, another great mon that has its use that will be used in this tournament. Trying to think. I think I touched on most of the really crazy mons. I'll lightly touch on a Colossal. You have the Steam Engine set. When you see him, if you see him in a Dragapult, expect the Dragapult to run some Choice Scarf, or the Sneasel, is it? And they surf, get the Steam Engine weakness policy. He outspeeds everything and knocks everything out. Be aware of that. Carry Fake Out support if you can to help negate that. And Inteleon, I have to touch on him a little bit too. Now, I noticed Inteleon suffers from the I have a really high special attack stat, but I can't OHKO things. For whatever reason, whenever I used him, it always took him down to red. But I got bodied by a Whimsicott Inteleon. The Whimsicott was spamming Fake Tears, and she OHKOs. That rain goes up. Her max geyser hits so hard, and you have Fake Tears doubling the damage. Even on resisted hits, she'll pick up KOs. Not on Dynamax Mons, but on non-Dynamax Mons, she'll pick up KOs. She has a fantastic speed tier of, I think, 120, I believe. So she'll outspeed a majority of the meta, and her base, so 119 special attack, I think. She hits very, very hard. So again, a phenomenal, fast special attacker to be aware of. I think that's a majority of things to kind of look out for. Things that I learned playing my first 100 matches. I hope you guys kind of take these tips and apply them and apply it into your thought process when you're seeing people, when you're playing online, you're versing people, and how to choose your leads and go about executing your first moves. Cursula, I don't really think is worth talking about in doubles. You just have to be aware of her. If your team's primarily physically oriented and someone has Cursula on their team, expect her to be broad. They will bring her. They will Will-O-Wisp and Strength Step you to death. So just make sure you have a special attacker that can dish out a hefty Dark type hit or a Ghost type hit, or bring a physical attacker that you know that you can just double up into her and knock her out the first turn. Because if she gets a Will-O-Wisp off and all your physical attackers or your special attackers aren't super effective against her, she ain't going nowhere. She'll Strength Sap you and stay alive forever. What else do we got here? And then be aware of Pelipper too for rain teams. He'll set the drizzle, and Mons like Barraskewda, their speed will double, kind of like the Tyranitar Excadrill duo. Unfortunately, Barraskewda is way less bulky than Tyranitar and Excadrill, so he's more apt to get knocked out, but do not underestimate it. It will get used here and there, and that Barraskewda is very threatening, so be ready to try to knock him out as soon as possible. You know, I think he's better in singles. I touch on another thing too. Gmax Snorlax. Gmax Snorlax will be used in this tournament. I don't know if I'd put him necessarily ahead of Rhyperior as a Trick Room attacker. But Snorlax, no. Not as a Trick Room attacker, but as an overall better Mon, I'll put Snorlax ahead of Rhyperior because, again, Snorlax can fulfill multiple roles extraordinarily well, while Rhyperior is kind of locked into being just a bulky attacker. Now, if you run Gmax Snorlax, you can run him with a berry. It's typical. Run him with a berry, you belly drum with Gluttony, eat your berry, then you Gmax the next turn and you spam your Gmax replenish, try to get your berry back, and you just stay bulky, have someone set screens, and you just don't die and your belly drum went off, so you're going to OHKO anything that you're neutral against. Anything. His base attack's 110, so it's very respectable, and then once you're at 4 times, ain't nothing surviving. Snorlax can also run Yawn 2. You can also run him with an Assault Vest because he has a blistering high. At level 50, completely uninvested, 270 HP and 122 special defense. You probably have some Mons that use that when you Dynamax, they're at 270 HP. And he just has it naturally. What do I have? That's max HP investment, though. That's an insane amount of HP. Crazy. And the 122 Spadef paired with that high HP, he eats up special attacks like it's his job. They ain't nothing. And if you want to exploit that, you can run him with an Assault Vest with 4 attacks. And then you can just straight up Dynamax and get your boosts from your Dynamax and eat up all the special attacks in the game. If you're versing a smart player, they will not hit your Snorlax with special attacks. As you can see, I have mine with I forget what nature this is. What is it called? Relaxed, which is plus defense minus speed. His defense is 95, which isn't like awful, but his defense is way lower than his special defense. It's like 2/3 of his special defense. So when you see him, make sure you wail on him with a physical attack, because if he starts to go haywire, you'll lose. And be wary, he can put you to sleep. He can put you to sleep. He can have a curse set and increase his defense and attack. He can recycle his berry and straight up attack. He can belly drum. So we have Yawn Annoyance, Assault Vest Annoyance, Curse Annoyance, and Belly Drum Annoyance. You got 4 sets that could be possibly around him, and he performs them extraordinarily well. He also has a fantastic move pull, and he's also a good wall breaker because he learns Darkest Lariat. So once you boost up, if someone's going to try to like pull up Corviknight Iron Defense against you, well, Darkest Lariat will ignore those defense boosts. So be aware that Gmax Snorlax, and make sure you have a way of shutting it down when you build your team. I believe I touched on a majority of the big threats. There's other big threats like Torkoal. You run him with Choice Specs in a Trick Room. You spam Eruption because he gets the Drought, and that move gets to very high power. It's kind of like the Dracovish effect with Fishious Rend. You know, Eruption's 150 base power. You have the Drought up. You get the Fire Stab. The Choice Specs boost. It hits really, really hard. Dracovish has inherently more wall-breaking potential, but he's not as slow as Torkoal, so he's not as efficient on a Trick Room team. Let me just kind of skim through here and find what other things can be really, really annoying. Like Renacluse, don't sleep on him. A very underrated Mon. Not going to go over him, though, because he's not being used much at all. Toxtricity, too. He's not being used a ton, but if you see him on someone's team, if you're running a bulkier-oriented team, and they manage to get Tailwind up or something, he will eat you alive. If they run Throat Spray and he gets an Overdrive or Boom Burst off, and he gets the +1, it hits really hard. It hits really, really hard. So just make sure you have a way of getting around him if you see him, because he's probably the strongest special attacker in the game, period. But he's blessed with a awful speed stat. Not awful, but a bad speed stat for being an offensive Mon, and a relatively poor typing with a quad hit from ground, with Excadrill being one of the top physical attacking threats in the game. It's kind of weird to run him, but he does have his use. I've been destroyed by him before. I really think that's about it, but I'm going to touch on a couple of things. Do not sleep on this. Seriously, if you're looking for a bulky Mon, you know, everyone likes to run Neutralizing Gas Wheezing. I never really saw it to be anything crazy. I think it's really overrated, actually. Misty Surge. I think Misty Surge is amazing because you're going to verse opponents that love to spam Thunder Wave and they love to spam Hypnosis. Well, if you predict that Thunder Wave, which I have many times, or Hypnosis, you can just take this Wheezing. Oh, I don't want my Excadrill going to sleep. Throw out Wheezing. Misty Terrain goes up. no status conditions can be done. It's funny watching people choke a little bit and they try to thunder wave you twice and you see that doesn't affect so-and-so. But yeah, Misty Surge does that, and it's an amazing ability just to kind of pull out. With Weezing's naturally high bulk, he's an amazing defensive mon with a quad resist to fighting, which is fantastic to pair with like T-Tar. But he suffers from a lackluster special defense. Now, Weezing does have kind of like statusy moves he can use. We're not going to be using him because it's Misty Surge, but you can run him Assault Vested, or you can run him with a Misty Seed. When he enters the battlefield and the Misty Surge is up, he'll eat his Misty Seed, and his SPDEF will go up. Now, if you run Misty Seed, you can run Protect and stuff like that. So if people see you being a threat and they think you're going to be really annoying, trying to, get Will-O-Wisps off if they're unaware that Misty Terrain prevents that, whatever it may be, you can Protect and build some momentum and knock some people out. And once you invest in a special attack, it's not awful. And he learns pretty much all the heavy-hitting moves in the game. And he's actually a decent Dynamaxing mon because after you eat your Misty Seed, your special defense goes up, and now if you're HP invested, you don't have to invest in defense because it's already, I think, base 120 or something like that. It's really high, and your special defense is high from your Misty Seed. You can Dynamax, and you get Stab on the move that increases your special attack. So if people are going to try to play defensive around you, you can punish them and just start sludge bombing things and set your guy up and your partner up and just start wall breaking, just OHKO everything. And he also gets Strange Steam, which is a great Stab Fairy move. And it also has a chance to confuse, but we don't have to worry about that because we have Misty Terrain. Wish he got Moonblast, but is what it is. Then I have Thunder to cover Gyarados. Thunder does a max, I believe, of 165%. That's the highest roll possible. So if it's a Wakan Berry Gyarados, it'll do a max of 80%, which isn't bad damage to a Dynamax Gyarados. It'll open doors to double up into him and knock him out really quickly. And we have Fire Blast to take care of like Corviknight and Ferrothorn and stuff like that. But again, a very slept-on mon. Saved me. Once I started getting yawned and Thunder Waved like crazy, I was like, screw it all. I'm going to have Misty Terrain Weezing. And those people who like to run status, this mon's amazing to have in the back. You won't bring him too often, but if you see a G-Max Butterfree, a Gothitelle, like Hypnosis mons, whatever it may be, fantastic for just stalling them out. Gothitelle's tough, though, because it's going to kind of force you to lead with him because she has Shadow Tag, which will prevent you from swapping. Now, I think that's really about it for big threats. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of other threats, but I think I covered a majority of the big threats. Oh, yeah, I have to touch on this, too. Probably one of the best overall bulky mons, I think, in the game right now, being Gastrodon. His ability Storm Drain pulls in Water-type moves, so it won't hit anyone except him. I believe Surf will still hit the other mons, but he won't take any damage, and his special attack goes up a stage. His special attack's respectable at 92, and his HP is base 110, defense I think is 62, and special defense is 84. So he has very respectable bulk. His defense is a bit on the low side, but with his high HP, he can eat hits very well from any angle. As long as you make sure he doesn't get hit by a Grass-type move, he can stick around for a while. He can be a great option to Dynamax, and he can just be overall annoying. I plan on running mine with an Assault Vest, okay? Most people, I believe, run him with either Leftovers or the berry that cuts the damage of Grass-type moves in half to, be able to eat a hit and open doors, because that Grass-type move will build you some momentum, because you're not going to go down. You're going to get your attack off. But I have mine set up to run an Assault Vest. It's just max HP, max special attack. And I have 4 attacks that I believe will be great for covering the meta. Scald is fantastic for fishing for burns on physical attackers. Even if it's not very effective, if you can get that burn off, she did her job. That's fantastic. Earth Power, having a special attacking ground-type move is amazing. A lot of people that ground is super effective against, their special defense is typically on the lower side. So having this as a stab move is a great option. Ice Beam is just overall great for Scald will change the terrain, but if for whatever reason your opponent's kind of benefiting from the rain more so than you can always use Ice Beam to also knock out Dragon types and change it to Hail and be annoying. And she learns Sludge Bomb too, which can, while you're Dynamaxed, further increase your special attack. But Gastrodon fulfills a handful of roles well. She can be a bulky attacker. She can be a nuisance. You run Recover and Scald, and you just fish for burns, and you never die. You can run her with Stockpile to further increase her bulk, and then you chip damage and just annoy your opponent down. And she can also learn Clear Smog to completely negate setup sweepers, which is really cool if someone's trying to run Trick Room and you knock them out. And you have speed priority over a Rhyperior, and their weakness policy already popped, you can just kind of Clear Smog them, get rid of that weakness policy, and go from there. There's actually one more mon I do want to touch on. I'm not sure where I have him placed, but I do want to talk about Dustclops. And we can't talk about Dustclops if he ain't pulled up. We got to pull up that nice little fat picture of him. I'm going to go to my box list real quick. I think I have him in my Eevee box. No, I don't. He ran away. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to go to my search. So D, Dustclops. Where you at? Where you at? Thick boy. I really wish that Dusknoir had a bit more of a boost when he evolved. Because Dusclops is just overall just completely out tiers Dusknoir. I believe when he evolves to Dusknoir, the only thing that really happens is his attack stat goes from like 60 to 100, and then his defense goes up by 5 each, and I believe his HP goes up by 5. So Dusknoir, being a bulky, annoying mon, Dusclops performs it way better. You run him with an Eviolite. If you play doubles and you've seen him, you already know he doesn't take shit for damage. He is alive for a long time if you're not prepped for him. If you have never versed Dusclops before, you're in for a hurting, because even if you're on Choice Band Darmanitan, that Icicle Crash I think maybe does half. With Choice Band Gorilla Tactics, Icicle Crash Stab. And that's crazy. There's not many mons. I don't think there's any mon in the game really other than him and Umbreon that can take less than half from a Choice Band Icicle Crash from Darmanitan. But Dusclops definitely is a top tier Trick Room setter. The beauty is though, he runs Eviolite, so if you're looking to counter this guy, run someone with Taunt. Just taunt him. If you taunt him, he's useless. He has Nightshade, which does a quarter of your health every turn. And if you're letting that beat you down, you are not playing appropriately to kill their team. Because a quarter of your health is nothing. And if he just spams Nightshade, you can just keep him alive and just taunt him in that slot and just double down and their attackers off to the side. Because he's a straight utility mon. The only attack he'll run is Nightshade. Then he'll run Trick Room, Ally Switch, Will-O-Wisp to cripple physical attackers, Ally Switch to be further annoying, and then Trick Room to get his terrain up. One taunt, he's out. Just make sure you keep your taunter alive. And I think for the meta overview, I apologize, this video is a little bit scattered, but I hope you enjoyed some of the insight that I was able to give to you guys over what I experienced while laddering, and I hope you can kind of use it to your advantage this upcoming tournament. My next video that I'll drop probably tomorrow, I'm going to do a team building video and how I'm going to go about building my team, and I'm going to go over the team that got me to Master Ball tier. I'm going to talk about what I think is effective, what people think is overrated and underrated, and stuff like that. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I will catch you on the next one. Later.